welcome back to Klutz Kitchen. I'm Jenna.
And I'm Caroline.
So today we're going to be doing our main course, which involves steak and mashed potatoes. I'll be doing steak, Caroline will be doing mashed potatoes. So let's get started. First, we have just a New York strip classic, just from the grocery store. This one's about an inch in thickness. They vary, so just depending on how thick it is how long you're going to have to cook it. So we are just going to take it out of the packaging. We will put it on a plate here. Now, we have taken this out and let it sit for about a half an hour just to make sure that it turns room temperature out of the fridge, because it's best to have it drier, and as it gets into the room temperature, it's going to get moisture out of it, so you have to pat it dry with a paper towel. So we're going to do that really quickly. And we'll flip it over. So you can see that we're just getting the excess off. And you know, actually we're gonna take this back off and take a little bit of the fat off. So right here is where you can see the fat, and we're just gonna trim it. You wanna make sure that you keep some of it on, but this is a little unnecessary. Okay, now Caroline, next we're gonna salt and pepper it.
Okay, great.
So let's go ahead and do that. Now, the salt is also going to be a way to get some of the moisture out of the steak, because the salt will actually go into the vessels of the steak, and that will clog them up, and then some of the moisture will come out, and it'll just sweat out is what it's called. So then we'll add some pepper. Perfect, and now we'll just flip it. Awesome. And do the same on the other side. Great. So now we're going to let this sit out again just for another 10 minutes or so, just to let it soak in and make sure that it's dry. And we'll just pat it dry again right before we put it onto the pan. So now that we have let the steak sit, we're just going to pat it dry once more before you put it onto the pan. And outside we have had a pan on a stove just heating up. You want to make sure that it's really hot when you put it on to get that nice seared crust on the outside of the steak. And you can use either grapeseed oil if you'd like, but we're going to use butter actually. And what we did is we just took some butter and we mixed it up, and we added a little bit of salt and pepper. Our butter was unsalted, but if you have salted butter, no need to add the salt. And with this inch cut steak, we're going to cook it about 4 minutes on each side. Awesome. Yeah, perfect. So we're going to go bring this outside now. Nice.
Wow, Jenna, this looks awesome.
Yeah, so we've actually taken the butter from the pan too and poured it just on top of the steak for a little bit of extra flavor. And now that it's completely cooked, we're gonna let it rest again for another 10 minutes, because you see when the steak is being cooked, the blood will just move all around the steak, and if you cut it into it, it'll just be a whole red bloody mess. So we're gonna let it sit, and the blood will actually go back more into the center of the steak, and it won't fly out, and the juices won't come out as much when you cut it.
Awesome.
Yeah, and now we're gonna be on to mashed potatoes.
All right, so now we're on to our mashed potatoes. Today we're gonna make garlic mashed potatoes. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna grab a clove of garlic, and we're going to cut off the top half. Leave the skin on, just go on and cut. And as you can see, I've already cut into one piece of garlic today, and this is not a good piece because you can see there's lots of little green stems because this garlic is about to sprout. This clove is much better, so we're just going to throw this into an oven about 400 degrees for maybe 40 minutes.
And do we have to put anything on top of it?
Oh, we should drizzle a little bit of olive oil, you know.
Okay.
Just so it crisps up, turns nice golden brown.
Perfect. And we actually have already done this one from before, so we can just show you one. This is what it should look like. This is about what it should look like at the end. You can see, and the garlic will actually it's gonna be soft, and it'll pop up and be a nice brown color.
Yeah.
So, perfect. Okay, what's next?
Once the garlic is in the oven, we're going to move on to our potatoes. So we have one potato right here, and we're just gonna get started, you know, peeling it, just go the whole way through. If you don't have a peeler like that, it's fine. You can just use a knife. And you don't have to be all that careful about about cutting too much off because potatoes are cheap.
You also don't have to worry too much about missing brown pieces of skin because we're just gonna rice the potato and the ricer will catch some of the extra skin in the end.
And then once they're all peeled, you're gonna cut them into uniform pieces. Just because the more uniform the pieces are, the easier it will be to cook. Alright, so we put one potato aside and Jenna's going to show you this really cool trick to make your mashed potatoes look amazing.
Yeah, okay, so now you can take, depending on how your potato is, this one's like a nice round surface here, so we can actually just keep it like this, but otherwise you can, if it's a more round potato, you can cut it to make teardrop shapes, anything you'd like. What we're going to do is we're just going to take a knife and we're going to do our best to get a really thin cut on it. So now we have here this cut and it's a little bit thicker on one of the sides. So we're just gonna take it and go like this, almost like you're filleting a fish.
And we want the pieces to be so thin that they're almost translucent.
Okay, so now that we have a nice clear piece, we will take one more. Beautiful. So just gonna trim this one off again. Okay, now we are going to take just a little bit of thyme here. You can put fat leaf parsley, anything you have really. And we're gonna stick it in the middle. And then we're gonna take the other piece that we cut and we're gonna stick it on top and you're gonna try to push them together and try to get as much as the air bubbles out that you can. Then you're gonna stick it into the oven at about 300 degrees. And by the time you're done, they're gonna brown up and be almost like a little potato chip, and you can see the thyme in the middle of it, and you can just stick it right into your potatoes when you're done. And it's just gonna make the presentation even more beautiful.
Yeah.
So we will stick these aside, and we'll make sure we get those in the oven soon.
So we just boiled the potatoes. We boiled them for about 10 minutes.
Just until they're all fully soft.
Yeah, and then once that's done, you're gonna take them right out, drain all the boiling water, and we're gonna get right to ricing them.
Yeah, so now here's just your typical ricer, and what is better about ricing them is that when you mash them, it actually just makes the potatoes starchier, and this is honestly just so much easier. So it's basically just a little paddle, and then there's holes at the end. But if you don't have one of these, totally you can just mash them. So we'll take a potato, just grab a couple pieces.
And then just squeeze and comes out.
Perfect. So now we're gonna do this for all the potatoes, Caroline?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is better to do when the potatoes are still really hot because it's just so much easier to actually rice. All right, so our potatoes are all riced. We probably have about 3 or 4 cups of potatoes here. For every 2 cups of potato, you're going to want to add a 1/4 stick of butter.
Okay.
And about 1/3 of a cup of half and half.
So I'm gonna take about half a stick here. Just plop it in.
Yep.
Then we're just gonna estimate about 2/3.
Yeah. Cooking's a lot less precise than baking.
And then the garlic that we made earlier, we're gonna add that as well.
Yep. So you can see these cloves are so nice. Oh my gosh, they're so soft, just like butter. And you just plop 1 and then 2 in.
Yeah, depending on how garlic you like your potatoes. Okay, so we'll give this a little mix.
All right, so Jenna just finished mixing them. This is about the consistency. Once they're done, we're gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper, just like that.
So I'll just give that another little twirl.
Yep.
We definitely wanted to add a little bit of salt because our butter, once again, was unsalted. But if you have salted butter, you might not need the extra salt.
All right, perfect. So now we're gonna go plate the mashed potatoes.
Yep. Okay, so here we have the plated mashed potatoes, and these are the little chips that we made.
Yeah. They look great, nice and golden brown, but they're really fragile. So if you have a big dinner party, definitely make more than you think you need,
Yeah.
because they will break.
And we'll just stick them right in, makes it look extra pretty. And then here we have our steak. So you can just go ahead and place that right next to it.
Beautiful.
Perfect. All right, should we give it a try?
Yeah, let's do it.
Here's a fork for you.
Awesome.
And then just cut a couple little pieces off the steak.
I'm so excited.
So, there we go.
All right.
Really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's really buttery and juicy. So good.
It has a really nice crust around it too.
That's from that pan sear. Let's try a little bit of mashed potatoes. Really creamy from that butter, and you can really taste the garlic.
I need to try one of these chips.
I know,
Jenna.
me too.
Oh my gosh.
They're so crispy. So good. And the oil, you can taste it like in a good way.
It's so pretty too.
Okay, well, thank you for tuning in Klutz Kitchen. I'm Jenna.
And I'm Caroline.
See you next time.